Hey everybody. So the 980 here, I've been working with an amplifier. So I'm just going to get the amplifier out of the way first because that's going to be the controversial topic here, probably. Because most people know I don't like amplifiers. But I never really quantify or qualify why I don't like them, so I guess I'm going to do that first. And I'm also going to offer suggestions on what you can do to these amplifiers to improve them and make them worthy of being used. So this amplifier, FET amplifier, it's not meant for a whole lot of power. 50 watts or something like that, really kind of effectively. People really, I think, overdrive them, and well, they're actually pretty tolerant to that, but they get hot like hell. And after some study with this one, I really realized why they get so hot. Because I didn't make any changes to this amplifier. This amplifier ran cool as a cucumber. The whole probably nearly an hour that I talked on this radio. And when I say talked on this radio, I literally mean took this thing, in here on the bench, stuck this there, did this number right here, stuffed this in here, and took this cover, sandwiched the damn thing shut, and it sat right here. I put a screw in here, of course, and I talked on it for an hour, and it didn't get hot. So then I played devil's advocate, and I lifted a leg of this resistor out, stuck it back in here, and it got hot. More power, hot as a firecracker. I mean, burn your hand. So same conditions, removing the resistor. I cannot recommend that's done. I know people want more power, but I just don't think that this thing is really intended to do that. And to make it even more interesting, while I was doing that, I inadvertently bumped the SWR button on the radio. And on this radio, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Well, this has an automatic SWR now. And, it works when you push the button. It doesn't warn you, although I probably could do a SWR warning when you transmit, and I probably should, in fact, because I can. But right now, to view the SWR, you got to hit the button, and all of a sudden I hit it, and SWR is 4-1. I said, holy shit, what happened? What's going on? What's wrong? And it dawned on me, well, the amplifier is on, and the amplifier should not be mismatched to the radio. So I'm thinking there's a problem with the antenna, but then it dawns on me, the radio's SWR meter is not reading the antenna, it's reading the amplifier because it is in line. So it just dawned on me, well, the amplifier is mismatched. Well, what did I do to the amplifier? Oh, that resistor, I lifted a leg, put the thing back down, now it's like 1.2. It's like, well, now, not only does it have more power, but it mismatches the radio. Oh, and then I look at the diagram and I was like, oh, I see why. So I don't think that's a good idea. Yeah, not a good idea. But so my recommendation, and I'm probably going to get 10 guys who say, I do it all the time and you're wrong and it works. If you're going to send me an email and you're going to put a comment and say, I do it all the time and it works, I don't want to hear from you because I don't care if you think it works. It doesn't work. So, yeah. Just because you can get output and more of it doesn't make it right. So, you can get to the bottom of the cliff faster by jumping off of it, or you could take the road that goes down to the bottom of it. Which would you do? It's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. We agree to disagree. But don't leave me comments saying, well, I do it all the time and it works. It's not right. So that said, I don't think there's really anything else. Oh, amplifier changes that we can do that make a positive effect on this. Okay, so this amplifier is done or designed as a really just sort of low power, kick in the pants to the radio. It's, not meant for a whole lot of power. But things that we can do to improve it, like the relay chatter. We can kill a relay chatter by removing C3 and putting a small voltage here. Normally RF would come through, you know, we would sample RF, we would rectify it, we would then use this transistor, we'd turn this guy on and we would close the relay. Well, if we put, quite simply put, you know, a small voltage here, a couple volts, we can turn this on without any trouble. So my suggestion there is a 10K resistor, an inductor from a switched source in the radio that outputs like 5 volts or 3 volts or something when the radio is in transmit, when it's not when it's in receive, not a constant voltage, a switched voltage. Put it there, remove this cap, and that will switch and it will not chatter on sideband. So that is a worthwhile improvement that can be done since it's getting installed in a radio. The reason that this is here is just to keep it simple. It's one of those keep it simple kind of things. Another improvement is a low-pass filter on the output would probably go a long way. I did measure the output of this. The radio is, I've already tweaked this radio to death. It's pretty clean. No problems there. With the amplifier, it still stayed pretty clean. Once I removed this resistor, not so much. That actually caused other issues. Mainly probably because we got a mismatch now and we're generating other sort of parasitic stuff that we don't want to. So if you look at where that is, we've got this resistor, you know, network here that, you know, is dividing this. It's also doing some, you know, obviously all this together is doing some impedance matching. Pulling out something in that circuit is not a really good idea. That's, you know, engineers tend to know why they do these things. If they wanted this thing to put out 100 watts, they would have designed it to put out 100 watts. Okay? You making it put out 100 watts is probably not a good idea. Besides, this is a little thin metal plate. It gets hot like a firecracker if you do it. It runs really nice and cool without that resistor removed. And everything is matched and it actually works well. Power supply filtering. None on this. None! Need some filters. Need some power supply filtering. I suspect the RF is probably getting back into the power supply. That's my take on the amplifier. So, yeah, I expect to probably get a few people who are going to ignore me anyway. But I do it all the time and it works. But it's what people want. Just because people want it doesn't mean you should do it. There's this thing called ethics. But anyway. That said, let's turn it on and see what we got. This also goes now into 10 meters. VCO mods, which I need to write up for those who are so inclined to try them. The only problem is that you gotta have some pretty damn good soldering equipment to do it. I'm just warning you now. And the skills. It's not easy. We're talking about taking out some 0603s and stuff, and you know 0402s and replacing them with other components. But anyway, obviously it's on. So that SWR thing that I was mentioning, just go right into that. So because it's actually on the screen still from when I was monkeying with it. So this is the SWR. Turn all that bloody talk back. This is the SWR as being measured in real time by the radio at a 1.18. Hello, hello. Of course, when you talk, it changes things, but you know, you're not really supposed to, obviously not supposed to talk into it when you're taking a measurement, but you get the idea. So regular S meter, hello, hello, hello. SWR, no calibrate. So that's how I implemented the SWR. It does the measurement automatically. And if we turn on the amplifier and we look at the SWR, obviously it changes. Now it's a 1.2 as opposed to you know, when it was a 1. What was it with the amp off? 1.18. It doesn't go up much, but if you pull that resistor out, it goes up a lot. So again, not something I would really recommend. So And yes, that is controlling the amplifier. So that's how it's set up right now. I can change that and actually make that control the PA. So hello, 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 hello. So not on the air, we're on dummy load. So I don't use amplifiers if I can avoid it on the air, at least until I verified that they're clean. And this one was clean enough, so I did try it. You know, I did my testing and I'm done with it. You know, got a little punch. It works good. You know, we're not trying to cause interference, and that's really the goal. Memories are implemented. You push, hold it, stores the memory. Push and hold it, removes the memory. Same thing as before. Obviously, it won't go into any kind of memory scan because there's no memories. So scan works well like a scan. So it'll now scan. And there it goes. So if we do memories, which I think we got to get it out of the scan. Yeah, okay, so I have a memory stored. I stored that one. All right, so we'll put a few in. I'm not saying anything on the display. I should probably say something like save, like the other one did. Lots of little tweaks like that. So I got a few memories in there. So now it will scan the memories, or in memory mode, it will only go between the 3 that I now have saved. So if we want to scan those memories, close the squelch and it will only scan those memories. Basically the way the other one did. There's really no change there because it's really kind of, you know, there's not a whole lot to that. The 919 CB buttons self-explanatory. The A&L self-explanatory. Modes, yeah. Weather, basically VHF receiver. Does what it should. Except I can pretty much change the frequency to do whatever I would like it to do within, say, 143 to 168, I believe. That's its effective range. So, you know, you can put it in scan and then have it go through and pick up the stuff that you want and then store them as memories, you know, if you so desire. This isn't something that I put a whole lot of time into, but yes, it could effectively be a scanner, but for only VHF, and that's kind of what's limiting, because I think most of everything around, at least around me, is scrambled, except for the waterworks. And you know, what I'm listening to when I turn to the frequency for the waterworks is guys reading meters. You know, they're hollering back at some woman who's, you know, say writing down or entering meter readings. So it's not that interesting. And that's like literally the only thing that I could hear other than the weather in VHF around me. It's just nothing. I don't even think there's any commercial stuff that I haven't really looked though. Mic gain, yes, you can adjust it right from there. You don't have to transmit. The whole notion of adjusting the mic gain and having to transmit to do it was somewhat troublesome to me. I didn't like that at all. RF gain is like an RF gain now. I didn't like that local thing at all, how it was done, because what you had to do is you had to long press it, set the whatever you wanted for the local setting, and then push it again to get out of it or let it time out. And then when you push local, that was what your RF gain setting was. It's just why? You know, why? The whole local thing is kind of redundant. So, okay, you want to turn your RF gain down, push the button, turn it down. No long pressing, no having to go toggle modes. Why? Talkback, I'll probably have to re-implement that or do it a little bit differently, because right now, of course, it works just fine. Hello, talkback. And you have to transmit the radio to get the talkback to work. I tried to actually not transmit the radio, but unfortunately the talkback is powered by the same 8-volt toggling that goes on for the transmitter. So yeah, you don't get the talkback unless you actually fire the transmitter, which, yeah, it would have been nice if you could set the talkback level without transmitting the radio, but you can't. That's just how they designed it. So that brings me to the menus. So there is a talkback in here, and I probably need to just put this on the button as well. I leave it at 1 because this is stupid loud. This is what the RF gain should have had for levels, not the damn talkback. But the talkback had 15 steps, and I don't know why. It's dumb. So 1 is like good. That's the lowest setting, and it still can be loud, you know, loud as hell. Loud, loud, loud. I mean, it's just like, you gotta be kidding me. So, yeah, I just don't know why they did that. It doesn't make any sense to me. So menus, not implemented. I'm going to re-implement color. Contrast is working. You know, just, you know, not the greatest contrast in the world on this display. At least not with this configuration. I'm not using doing it the same way they're doing it. So there is a difference there. Brightness goes with the color. Beeps, or the PA mode rather. This is the option versus the PA. So if this is in PA, when I push the PA button, it'll put the radio in PA. But if I say opt, the PA button will control the relay on the front of this board that is this wire that's going over to the amplifier. So no switches, none of that kind of nonsense. You just set that, and you know, and you get to keep the PA. Excuse me, guys. So you get to keep the PA, and if you like if you use the PA, then you know, I'll probably put it in a long press to do the alternate function. So if you actually want to toggle the PA, you just like maybe long press it, and then it will toggle the actual PA or the amplifier. But then there would be no visual indication of that. I don't know. Maybe it's probably better the way it is. How many people use the PA? And if you need to use the PA, well then, yeah, you can always set it back to PA and use the PA. The beeps, hardware error on this board, so I didn't work on the beeps. Diagnostics is something that I'll probably do, and that's just basically for voltage. I'm not even entirely sure that I need to be bothered with it. One of the diagnostic things is an antenna check. And it'll give you a pass-fail on the power, like a pass-fail on the antenna, or a pass-fail on the transmitter. Why? And this is why. So when if this radio has bad outputs, okay, and you transmit, okay, the S meter is going to move because it needs actual RF from the output stage of the radio to give me a voltage measurement on my ADC to move the meter. So if the meter is moving, okay, you know, hello, if the meter is moving, there's RF output. I mean, there is. It's just no two ways about it. So I don't need a diagnostic function to tell me that, yeah, there's RF. I can look at the S meter and transmit on the radio, and I can see that there is, you know, roughly the 3 watts, because that's pretty much how I did the meter output of the radio. It's just, you know, roughly. The sudden modulation of it, that's just how they configured the circuit. The old one did it that way too. It's just sort of whimsy, but it's not putting out 9 watts. You know, it can, but it not when I'm talking normally into it. It's probably more like, you know, I don't know, 5-6 watts. But you know, people like to see the meter move, and basically this works the same way as the old one did. Now the receive S meter is sort of a work of art because it's actually right, and yeah, it's a completely different topic of discussion. People are probably going to say, well, one radio read one thing and the new one, this one reads it differently. Of course it does. It's because Uniden didn't give a shit when they wrote the meter algorithm. So that's basically it. I don't think that there's anything that I haven't covered. The only thing that I have yet to do is, other than doing mostly some software tweaks, it's written. I just need to fix a few bugs, tweak a few things. And the last thing I need to do is try a power mic on this radio instead of this regular microphone. But I did do some RF tests on this. And what I mean by that is I literally draped a piece of wire over the radio from the antenna jack and tried to get the micro to lock up, and I can't. It didn't squeal, and I did it with and without the amplifier. You know, so a heavy bad SWR problem, RF out the ass. I basically caused half the equipment in this room to go glitch, but that radio didn't. So that's what I care about. I had soldering irons making noises. I had just my computer locked up. Yeah, it's just heavy RF around here at, you know, high enough concentration that things just, you know, I had like USB devices on my computer before it locked up, like disconnecting from the computer. Here's hearing the sound, the doot-doot-loop, you know, when the device would reconnect, and it was causing all kinds of anarchy. So, but this never locked up. So I did pretty good on the shielding and power filtration, you know, worry about RF ingress into the microcontroller. That turned out better than I expected, so I am not going to change a thing about it. I just need to try a power mic next. So that's basically it, guys. Comments, criticisms, questions, by all means. You know, I hope you guys like it, and catch you next time.